morning, everybody. It is Wednesday. Welcome to episode 8 of Lowry at Home. I'm your host, Naturalist Kirk. Very happy to have you all back here with us. We appreciate you joining us on this journey. It has been a run of really beautiful weather here in Minnesota, and when the weather gets warm like this in the springtime, who comes out but the snakes? And I know not everybody really loves snakes, but snakes are pretty amazing creatures, and Naturalist Lauren sat down to tell us more about them. Go ahead, Lauren.
Hey everybody, it's Lauren here at Lowry Nature Center, and we are excited to welcome you back for another Lowry at Home. Today we are talking about a very special friend. This is Vixen, our western fox snake. Now, some of you at home might be very uncomfortable with the idea that there is a fox snake in my hands right now. And before we start, I think it's really important to acknowledge that snakes are living creatures on this planet, just like you and me. And there's a lot of misinformation out there about them. They are definitely creatures that we don't know as much about as, say, something like a cuddly puppy or a fluffy bunny, but there's still just as many good things to know about them. And frankly, I am one of those people that wasn't always a huge fan of snakes, but after starting to work with them and really learn about them, I found that they're incredibly curious creatures. They're very social creatures. And they're something really interesting and fun to learn about. So with that in mind, here are just a couple fun things to know about Vixen. First of all, she is a western fox snake, and that is an interesting name because when you look at her, it's like she's not a fox, she's a snake. But the western fox snake actually gets its name from something that it does along with many other snakes called musking. Musking is basically where snakes they have a gland at the base of their tail that allows them to secrete a liquid, almost like peeing, where they deposit a scent or leave a scent behind to either mark territory. Sometimes they do this when a predator picks them up and they're like, let me go! So they kind of like pee, but they musk, and it leaves this really strong smell. And the western fox snake gets its name because its musk smells a lot like fox urine. Luckily, she's quite comfortable and calm with me right now, so no musking is happening. I don't smell like fox pee. But that's actually where her name also comes from, the name Vixen. She got that name because the word vixen is the name used for female fox. So she is a female western fox snake. Her name is Vixen. Now, Vixen is a kind of snake that you would find here in Minnesota. Typically, the western fox snake is going to be spending its time in southern or southeastern Minnesota. They don't go up north as much. They prefer hardwood forests. They especially like forests that flood, especially like in the spring, like now when the rivers are getting really high. They'll spend their time actually in those areas that get kind of wet. They also like prairies and even sometimes like rock outcroppings, like river bluffs. They'll spend time there. And the reason for that is because they typically eat foods like small mammals, so things like mice, chipmunks, tasty, delicious, wonderful morsels such as that are definitely going to be a key component of their diet. But especially when they're very young, fox snakes are known to eat things like small amphibians, things like frogs, things like toads, something easy for them to catch. Now the crazy thing is, if they're eating things like frogs and toads when they're young, that means they have to be spending time close to water. And that is something that does, I admit, freak me out a little bit. The western fox snake is capable of swimming. They have been known to spend time in and under the water. It's really, ooh, hello. It's really not much of a concern because they're gonna be so focused on finding their food that if something big and scary like you is swimming through the water, they're gonna get away from you as fast as possible. But you never know, you could be out kayaking or canoeing and there goes a western fox snake. Oh, Now Vixen is a very curious snake, and one of the things I love about her is that usually once she's comfortable in my arms, after a while she starts to spread out and she's looking around. And some of you may notice that she's sticking her tongue out a lot. Oh, can you face the camera, my dear? There you go. Snakes, when they stick their tongues out, they're not tasting the world. They're not like, this chair tastes nice. That's a pretty tasty leaf. They're actually using that to smell. That fork at the very tip of their tongue allows them to pick up on even more scent particles, so that when they're flicking that out here or there, they're smelling, like especially on my arm, she's probably smelling the soap that I used when I took my shower or even washed my hands. She might be smelling the laundry detergent on my clothing, and as she spends time time around the nature center, she might smell things like the other animals she spends time close to, because most of our animals live near each other. Woo, there you go. She might pick up on smells that kids leave behind, because believe it or not, kids can be smelly sometimes. But she's going to be picking up on all those different scents. Now that's going to be a really important thing for her to be able to hunt and survive in the wild. Typically when a western fox snake is in the wild, they live to be like 8 to 12 years old. Now Vixen here is 11 years old. That's pretty good. In captivity though, as is the case with most animals, western fox snakes live to be longer than they would typically live in the wild. A western fox snake in captivity would live to be more like 10 to 15. So in that sense, Vixen has a number of years ahead of her with us, and that makes us very happy because we truly enjoy having her. We love allowing her to get out and explore the nature center. She's great at meeting school groups. And she's just a very social, cuddly animal, which I appreciate. Now, oh, excuse me. One of the other cool things about western fox snakes is that they do spend time on rock outcroppings. They do spend time in the water, but they actually can climb trees as well. Sometimes they've been known to eat birds. Now, part of what makes her capable of doing that is she has a lot of strong muscles throughout her body that she uses when she's feeding. She's a constrictor, so when she catches her food, she squeezes it really tight, and that's what allows it to A, stay in place so she can hold on to it, and B, eventually that's what will kill the animal so she has the time to eat it. Those muscles are really important for her being able to climb trees. In addition to the fact that she's got those strong muscles, she also has a special adaptation, and I'll see if I can show you, we'll see. It's called a keeled scale. Some snakes have what is called a keeled scale, which is essentially each individual scale has a ridge, almost like the bottom or the keel of a boat. There's debate about what that is used for and how it helps an animal. For example, on a western fox snake, a keeled scale means that she doesn't come off as super bright and shiny. It actually makes her look a little more dull, which some people would believe would help with camouflage, would help her blend in with her surroundings. Now, others would say that that keeled scale could be used to make noises. Snakes can rub those scales and produce sound to either attract a mate or maybe make other animals go away if they don't want those animals coming close. In this case, though, we can talk about how that keel gives her a little extra support, so when she's going up along that rough bark, along those trees, she can protect herself and she can pull herself up high up into the canopy of those trees. Yes, hello! So one of the last things that's really important to know about fox snakes is that they are one of Minnesota's snakes, but we do also have rattlesnakes. And fox snakes, western fox snakes, are often mistaken as rattlesnakes. You can see why there might be some similarity. She's got that kind of rusty, reddish, brown, tan color. She's got some of those darker splotches along her body. Typically, a western fox snake lives to be like 3 to 5 feet long, and rattlesnakes get bigger than that, but if you're a hiker and you see something like this, your instinct isn't going to be like, oh, you know what, let's take out the tape measure and see how long the snake is. No, you're probably going to be quite uncomfortable and want to get out of the way as fast as you can. But the other indicator that a lot of people think means it's a rattlesnake is the fact that when a western fox snake is uncomfortable, it feels like something has invaded its territory and it feels like a predator might be coming after them, they have learned to take the tip of their tail and rattle it. Now, they don't have a rattle like a rattlesnake does, but by taking the tip of their tail and pushing it and moving it along things like dry leaves, essentially it's creating that rattle sound that other animals might mistake as a rattlesnake's tail. And they want to get out of that place too, because rattlesnakes aren't very popular with some of the animals out in the animal kingdom. So that is one of the things that a lot of people mistake as a sign that it's a rattlesnake. But another thing to look for is the fact that because she's a constrictor, that is how she's getting her food. She does not have the sort of triangle or diamond shaped head that a rattlesnake would have, because, oh, sorry, my dear, rattlesnakes have big cheek pouches to put their fangs away so that when they're not actually striking at anything, they're not walking around with like a huge fang overbite. Essentially, a western fox snake has a much smaller, slimmer head. In some ways, it mimics the small, slim tip of her tail, so that some predators don't know the difference when they're attacking, whether they're going for the head of the snake or the tail of the snake. It's a way to protect yourself if you're trying to get away from something like a bird that's coming down to capture you. So, rule of thumb, when you encounter an animal like this, say you're on a trail, you're going for a hike, if you encounter an animal like this, your best option is to slowly back away. I mean, if you find that an animal is demonstrating signs that it's uncomfortable, it's always good to give it a little more space. Don't grab a stick, don't poke it or anything like that. Just slowly move away and see if you can get around it best you can. And if you encounter people along the trail or other people, just say, hey, just so you know, I saw a snake over there, and maybe you don't want to go that way. But like I said, as one of Lowry's beloved animal ambassadors, we really appreciate and enjoy Vixen being here with us. One of my absolute favorite things about her, we'll see if it'll show up. And you wouldn't necessarily know this if you just saw her in the wild, but a lot of fox snakes actually have orange cheeks. She's got bright orange cheeks, and I absolutely love it. She also, like I said, is very cuddly. As constrictors, you might misinterpret that as a really tight hug, but really I have body heat that she likes, and so she likes to wrap herself around my arm because it warms her up, because she can't produce her own body heat. So she's cuddly, she's got those bright orange cheek patches, and as I mentioned before, she's a very curious animal. As an animal that doesn't have legs, you usually spend a lot of time moving through all these different spaces to learn and explore and to get your bearings. So it's really fun to get to watch her and see what she's interested in for the day. So thank you for tuning in for another Lowry at Home, and we're going to send it back to Kirk. Bye, everybody.
That was great, Lauren. Thanks so much. Thank you to all of you for joining us at Lowry at Home today. I hope you will leave questions for Lauren in the comments. She's going to be answering questions on Friday, just like she did last week. And Brett, who showed us the hawk earlier in the week, is also going to be answering questions. So please put your questions about those animals down in the comments, and we look forward to hearing from you.